Okay, so a little bit of an update. We had gotten the red lights in the back for the guns 3 and 4, and we also put on the white lights that are going to be shining up on a superstructure. We then had done the blue lights that are going to be on guns 1 and 2, and now what we're going to do is we're going to bring the ends together, we're going to tie it in, we're going to light the superstructure. Now when it comes to doing the superstructure, we ended up putting the lights in. See, the model kit had 2 gun tubs over there. Well, my buddy was Alan, and Alan, thank you by the way, Alan was saying that those guns were not actually installed yet. They planned to be installed, but they weren't actually installed, but the model kit has them on. So I went ahead and I removed the gun tubs, and that's where we put the lights. She also had the 2 guns in the front, either side of the back end of gun number 2, that were not installed. And I was thinking about putting the lights to light the superstructure in the 2 guns, the gun tubs, and seeing how that would look. Because I thought of doing them over here on the deck, aiming up. That still might be a better option. But either way, we're going to do one on either side in the middle. So let's take off the deck, and you guys can see what we got so far. So we have the light that's lighting the portholes at the bow. I was going to put 3, but I'm thinking maybe we should put one over here and one over here. So we'll have 4 that'll light up the hull on the bottom, the windows and the portholes. And we'll tie everything together with jumpers. So when it comes to this now, I'm thinking we're going to do right in the middle. So you figure right in the midship, probably right about here. So we want the superstructure to be lit by the sides, so we're probably going to go right between the guns, and we can just aim it up at the superstructure where it won't be in the way. We'll just have to drill through to get to the bottom, but I'm going to put one on either side, and it's going to be shining up on the sides of the superstructure in the front. And then we'll put them on the deck. I think it'll look better on coming from the deck looking up as opposed to up and on this level. So why don't we go ahead now. We're going to drill the holes out that we need. And I'm going to put it, I don't think there's going to be anything that's going to go in that area. I just want to double check. I believe it's only going to be the guns. Yeah, so it's only going to be the guns that are going to go on the sides, and there'll be nothing in this area. So we're going to put the light in. So first thing we need to do is we're going to drill, and this is going to keep it out of the way. So we're going to make sure, because we're careful, because remember we have the rotating gun turret that's in that area as well. So I want to put it right here so it's out of the way, right in the center. So there's a couple of layers we're going to need to go through. We're going to need to go through the deck plate for that level. Then we have to go through the top of the turret for that gun. And then we have to go through the plastic for the that the turret rests on, and then finally through the bottom of the deck plate. So there's a little bit to go through, and I'll show you once we get through. So we're through, Hopefully you can see that. That's going to be a nice out-of-the-way place. All right. Now we got to do the same thing. I want to do it in the same spot on the opposite side. So we're right about here. There we are. All right. These should be a little easier. I want to put one over here facing up. So let's do one right over here. And lastly, we'll put one on the same spot on the opposite side. There we are. All right, so let's go ahead now. We're going to put in the lights. Let's run the ones through the front first. Remember, we have to run the wires through and then put the resistor on. So this is going to be, make sure it's facing the same way, so that's going to look pretty cool. All right, now we got to put a resistor on. All right, now we got to make sure that this is in working order. I use the power pack. All right. Make sure this works. You can see that that's going on. And make sure if I can see, when we solder it, the contact will be better. It'll stay on longer. All right. So now what I want to do is I want it to be angled where it's going to be facing the superstructure. So that looks good right there. So what I want to do, we're going to glue this into position. There we are. Okay. You can see it solidified, so I'm going to go ahead. I want to make sure that it's still working. Again, it's better to find out it's not working now rather than after we put all of it together. All right, so put the leads on, and you can see that looks pretty good. All right, so we're going to do the same thing now for the other side. And again, we're going to angle it so it's facing the superstructure, and we got to put the resistor on. All right, now let's give it a test. You can see that's going on, so that's good. So now what I want to do is I want to make sure it's angled right up against or towards the superstructure. And we're going to glue this one in place. All right, so that's solidified. And I want to do the same thing now. I want to make sure this works. So we're going to test it again. That looks good. So you may be wondering why I test them before and after I glue. Well, what I want to make sure is, because it's hot glue, and I want to make sure that the glue doesn't interfere with the contact, or if you get too close with the tip, you could melt the wire because these wires are so tiny. So that's why I test before and after. It's better to be safe than sorry. So that's looking good. So now we can put the others in. So we'll do one on the starboard side. And we gotta feed it down quite a ways on this one. All right, we did the port side first. All right, I wanna make sure it's gonna be angled correctly, and we're gonna give it a test. Well, actually, first thing we gotta do is put the resistor on it. Here we are. And let's give that a test. You can see that's lighting up. That looks good. All right, we're gonna have to be careful about gluing this one now because it's close to the edge. So let's make sure the light right about there is gonna be good. All right. All right, so that had some time to solidify. So why don't we go ahead now? Again, I want to make sure it works. That looks good. All right. Now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put in the last SMD on the other side of the ship, on the starboard side. All right. Make sure that this is working. That looks good. All right, we're going to do the same thing now with these 4 lights. Oh, actually, nope. We've got to glue it first. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. All right, so this is going to be angled up towards the superstructure. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put some glue. All right, so that's looking pretty good. The glue is solidified a bit, and I want to make sure that it works. Here we are, looking good. Okay, now what we can do is I'm going to take all the negative wires and we're going to bring them together. I like to do 2 at a time individually and then put them together to do the 4. So let's start with by putting these 2 together. This will be on the starboard side. And we're going to do these. And now we're going to bring all 4 of them together. So we're going to put these to the side. We're going to do the same thing now with the positive leads. We're going to do the ones to the side, and then we're going to bring both of them, all of them together. So let's do the 2 on the starboard side first. And by putting jumpers on, they won't, there'll be less chance that the wires touch, shorting it out. All right. So now we're going to do the other side. All right. Now we're going to bring them all together. There. Make sure that these are not touching. All right. Remember, we are going to solder them, and we need to put 2 of the lights on the bottom for the portholes. So we're going to take 2. Go ahead and strip off the casing. All right. Because remember, we're going to be putting this on the bottom. So we need two of those, two more of those. So let me get the other one. And we'll strip off the casing. All right. So I'm gonna splice these lights together, and then we're gonna test them. All right. Now we're gonna make sure that these work. That looks good. All right, now we can put these on to the bottom. All right. Now we got to make sure that all this works. All right, that looks good. Looks like all the lights are coming on. So what we're going to do now is we're going to unplug the glue gun. And we're going to plug in the solder gun, because that needs to be soldered first before we glue that in place, just because I want to make sure it's going to work. All right, so we need to put the flux on. That way there the solder has something to stick to. There we are. Okay, so now we got to put it to the test. We got to make sure it's going to work. So I like to use the clips for that. See, those two lights are working, and the 4 lights on the deck are working. All right, so that's good. So now we're going to hot glue those bulbs into place. There we are. So let's put the other one in position now. There. So that one had some time to set. And we're going to hook up the power supply. I want to make sure that this is still working. Hopefully nothing is going to be touching. All right. Let's see how that looks. The superstructure is going to be lit. You can already see it lighting up the side. And on the bottom, you can see those 2 lights that are going to light up the portholes. Okay, you know what we're going to do now? Now we have to think about bringing the power supply from the stern section with the leads. So we're going to put jumpers from here, and we're going to bring all this together. So I think we'll start by putting jumpers on this section. All right, so we're going to put a jumper here. And what I want to do now is we're going to put some flux. Because we're going to solder these connections because nothing else is going to be going on them. Okay, so these are all set. This isn't going anywhere. So now what we got to do is we have to take these sections and we're going to have jumpers that are going to bring this section to the back. Let's see, how far away is that going to be? All right, I'm going to sacrifice an LED because I'm going to use the wire. And I'd rather have it too long and have to cut it than need it longer and have it too short. All right, we're going to splice it into the lead, into the jumper for the positive. And we're going to put this onto the one that we soldered previously. All right, we're going to solder this now. I don't want to take any chances. I don't want it to get mixed up. All right, that's all set. Now we're going to do the same thing with the negative lead. So we're going to splice this one again, well, the negative one. And now we're going to put this onto the negative lead. Again, we're going to put flux on it. All right. So now we have the jumpers that are going to go aft, and we untangle the wires. So if we did this right now, we're going to connect the negative jumper and the positive. And if everything is correct, everything will light up now on the front part. So see, we have all 3 lights, and we have all 8 lights on the top. We've got the blues for guns 1 and 2. We've got the whites going up the front of the superstructure. We've got the mid superstructure, the white bright lights, and we have the jumpers now, and they're going to connect the stern section. So we're going to go ahead now, and we're going to bring it together. So this just might make it a little bit tricky to put in position. So we're going to bring it, and again, the wires cannot touch because they'll cause a short circuit. All right, we're going to put the flux on. You know, we might be able to do both of them. All right, so I'm gonna, now I want to play it safe. Let's put the flux on the positive lead, and we're gonna solder it right away. right, now we can do the negative lead. Again, we're going to put the flux on. Okay, so bear with me now. We did the middle lights, the SMDs for the superstructure. We put in the lights to light up the hull portholes. We ended up jumping the forecastle sections with guns 1 and 2 with the midship SMDs. And then we tied that in to the stern. So if we did everything right now, we should be able to place this back onto the ship, and we should be able to light everything up. All right. So see how it is now? Yeah, this is going to be tough to... All right. Okay. So, first thing we did the aft guns. That would be guns 3 and 4. We had done that in red because it's going to be red, white, and blue, just like the battleship Massachusetts. Now, as we start to go to the superstructure, I put 2 lights in the gun tubs that really weren't supposed to be there because they didn't actually install the guns over there. So we put the SMDs there to aim up at the superstructure. When it comes to midship, I wanted another light going up either side, so we put one in the middle of where the guns are going to be, and then going towards the gun number 2, I put 2 lights going up against the front of the superstructure. So we're going to have the back lit, the front lit, and the sides lit. That's going to be in white. Guns 3 and 4 are going to be in red, and guns 1 and 2 are going to be in blue. So this is pretty much the way I had thought or envisioned it in my head. And I think it's going to look pretty cool. Let me go ahead. I'm going to shut the lights out now to show you guys. So see how cool that's looking? I mean, it's going to look a lot better when the superstructure is there. But you can see the red, white, and blue lights. And actually, I'm going to take you off the tripod and we'll take a look, and I'll show you the portholes. Okay, so seeing the red, the white, the blue, and you can see the portholes are going to be lit. Again, they're not overly bright. And I do think we're going to put in a liquid window maker so it's not twinkling like that, so it doesn't look that model-like. But when we move on, the next video, we're actually going to tie everything together. We're going to put the sound card in, the power supply, and we're going to glue the decks down. So my friends, I thank you for watching, and until the next video, I'll talk to you guys soon.